After turning 50, something many enjoy without a second thought may quietly affect your body more than ever before. Sugar, once harmless in daily treats, can subtly influence energy, metabolism, and overall well-being. Yet, most discussions avoid the hidden ways it interacts with an aging body. What if the sweet indulgence you rely on is quietly reshaping your health in ways you hardly notice? This question becomes increasingly relevant as people move beyond their fifth decade of life. Daily habits that once seemed insignificant can begin to play a larger role in how the body feels, performs, and recovers. Sugar, in particular, is deeply woven into modern diets, appearing not only in obvious desserts but also in sauces, breads, beverages, and processed foods. Because of this constant presence, its effects often go unnoticed, especially when changes happen gradually rather than suddenly. The modern food environment makes it remarkably easy to consume sugar without realizing it. A single tablespoon of ketchup can contain a teaspoon of sugar. Flavored yogurts, granola bars, marketed as healthy snacks, and even whole-grain breads often harbor surprising amounts of added sweeteners. When these foods become dietary staples, the cumulative effect can be significant, particularly for bodies that are no longer processing nutrients the way they did in younger years. The challenge is not just about the obvious treats we consciously choose, but about the hidden sugars that accumulate throughout the day in seemingly innocent choices. Understanding this broader context helps explain why simply cutting out desserts may not be enough to create the changes many people seek after 50. Even condiments, salad dressings, and marinades contribute to daily sugar intake in ways that add up over time. A breakfast that includes sweetened cereal, fruit juice, and flavored coffee creamer might contain more sugar than a slice of cake. Yet it feels virtuous because the individual components seem healthy or necessary. Experts often highlight that metabolism changes significantly after 50%, altering how the body handles nutrients like sugar. Studies indicate that even moderate amounts can contribute to subtle shifts in energy regulation, inflammation, and cardiovascular health. Understanding these changes can help in making mindful decisions about everyday habits. As we age, muscle mass tends to decrease while fat mass may increase, even when body weight remains relatively stable. This shift affects how the body processes glucose and uses insulin, making it easier for sugar to create imbalances. What once felt like a simple source of quick energy can now place extra demands on systems that are already adapting to age-related changes. Awareness of these metabolic shifts does not require fear or restriction, but rather curiosity and informed attention. The body's changing composition means that even people who maintain the same weight they had at 30 may find their metabolism functioning quite differently at 50 or beyond. The metabolic changes that occur after 50 are complex and interconnected. Hormonal shifts, particularly in women going through menopause and men experiencing gradual testosterone decline, influence how the body stores and uses energy. These hormonal changes can make cells less responsive to insulin, the hormone that helps glucose enter cells for energy use. When cells become resistant to insulin, the pancreas must work harder to produce more of it, creating a cycle that can eventually lead to elevated blood sugar levels even when diet remains unchanged. This process happens silently over years, without obvious symptoms, until patterns of fatigue, increased thirst, or unexplained weight changes begin to emerge. Being proactive rather than reactive means paying attention to these shifts before they become problematic, and sugar intake is one of the most modifiable factors in this equation. The body sends signals long before major problems develop, but these signals require attention and interpretation that many people overlook in the busyness of daily life. As we age, our bodies may respond differently to sugar. What once gave a quick burst of energy might now cause sudden spikes, followed by fatigue. These fluctuations can interfere with daily activities, concentration, and mood stability. People over 50 may notice that the same dessert that once energized them now leaves them feeling sluggish within hours. Observing patterns in energy after meals can provide insight into how sugar affects your body individually. These energy swings are not always dramatic. Sometimes they appear as a subtle drop in motivation, a mid-afternoon crash, or a feeling of mental fog that seems to come without explanation. Over time, repeated fluctuations can shape how productive or emotionally balanced a person feels throughout the day. Simply noticing when energy rises and falls, and what foods were consumed beforehand, can be a powerful first step toward understanding personal responses. The connection between food and feeling is immediate and real, yet often overlooked because we attribute energy changes to sleep quality, stress, or simply getting older. Many people describe these energy patterns as feeling like they are on a roller coaster throughout the day. Morning coffee with sweetened creamer might provide an initial lift, followed by a crash that prompts a mid-morning snack. Lunch with a sweetened beverage creates another spike, then another dip that makes the afternoon feel endless. By evening, fatigue has accumulated to the point where motivation for exercise or social activities diminishes. This cycle can become so familiar that it feels normal, but it does not have to be the default experience. When individuals begin tracking their energy alongside their food choices, patterns often emerge that surprise them. The connection between that afternoon soda and the inability to focus during a 3 p.m. meeting becomes clear. The relationship between desert after dinner and difficulty winding down for sleep starts to make sense. These observations are not about judgment, but about gathering data that empowers better choices. If you find these patterns resonating with your own experience, exploring more about nutrition and aging might offer additional perspectives worth considering. After 50, maintaining weight can become more challenging. Research associates excessive sugar intake with changes in body composition, particularly around the midsection. While sugar alone is not the only factor, its frequent presence in drinks and snacks can contribute to subtle weight changes over time. Adjusting intake thoughtfully may help in keeping the body balanced and maintaining a sense of control over weight management. Many people find that weight gain after 50 feels different than earlier in life. It may appear more stubborn and less responsive to familiar strategies. Sugar can play a quiet role in this process, especially when consumed in liquid form or hidden within processed foods. These sources may add calories without providing lasting fullness, making it easier to consume more energy than the body truly needs. Over months and years, these small surpluses can accumulate. The frustration many feel when old weight loss methods stop working is real and valid, but understanding the underlying metabolic changes can transform that frustration into informed action. The location of weight gain after 50 is particularly noteworthy. Visceral fat, which accumulates around internal organs in the abdominal area, tends to increase with age and is more metabolically active than subcutaneous fat found just under the skin. This type of fat is associated with greater health risks, including insulin resistance, cardiovascular disease, and inflammation. Sugar consumption, particularly from beverages and processed foods, has been linked to increased visceral fat deposition. A can of soda contains roughly 40 grams of sugar, which the body processes rapidly, causing insulin levels to spike. When this happens repeatedly throughout the day or week, the body begins storing more of that energy as fat, preferentially in the abdominal region. Understanding this mechanism helps explain why weight management strategies that worked in earlier decades may no longer be as effective. It is not about willpower or discipline failing. It is about the body responding differently to the same inputs. The shift is biological, not moral, and recognizing this distinction can relieve unnecessary shame while encouraging practical solutions. Sugar can influence the body's inflammatory response, which naturally tends to increase with age. Even occasional indulgences may contribute to discomfort or stiffness that some attribute solely to aging. Paying attention to how joints, muscles, or general wellness respond after sugary meals can reveal early signals. Simple observations may encourage gentle lifestyle adjustments to support comfort and mobility. Inflammation is a complex process, and sugar is only one of many contributing factors. However, as the body ages, its ability to recover from inflammatory triggers may become less efficient. This means that what once caused no noticeable reaction may now result in lingering discomfort. Becoming aware of these patterns allows individuals to separate what is truly age-related from what may be influenced by daily choices. The body's communication becomes clearer when we pay attention, offering feedback that can guide decisions toward greater comfort and vitality. The inflammatory response is the body's natural defense mechanism, but chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, can accelerate aging processes and contribute to numerous health conditions. When we consume high amounts of sugar, it can trigger the release of inflammatory messengers called cytokines in younger bodies. This response is temporary and well-regulated. After 50, the inflammatory response may become more prolonged and less efficiently resolved. People may notice that joint pain, which they assumed was simply arthritis, actually fluctuates based on dietary patterns. Morning stiffness might be more pronounced after evenings with sweet treats. Muscle recovery after exercise may take longer when sugar intake is high. These connections are not always obvious because inflammation operates silently, but paying attention to the body's subtle communications can reveal important patterns. Keeping a simple journal of symptoms alongside dietary intake can help identify trends that might otherwise remain invisible in the complexity of daily life. Cardiovascular health becomes more central after 50. Studies associate frequent sugar consumption with subtle changes in blood markers and vascular function. While sugar is not the sole factor affecting heart health, awareness of intake and incorporating balanced nutrition can complement broader wellness strategies. Even minor adjustments may support a sense of steadiness in daily life. Over time, the heart and blood vessels respond to the cumulative effects of lifestyle habits. Sugar, especially when combined with low physical activity or chronic stress, may add to this burden. Paying attention to nutrition is not about perfection, but about creating an environment where the cardiovascular system is supported rather than strained. Small shifts, maintained consistently, often matter more than short periods of strict control. The cardiovascular system is remarkably resilient and responsive, capable of improvement at any age when given the right support. The cardiovascular system ages alongside the rest of the body, with blood vessels becoming less flexible and more prone to plaque buildup. High sugar intake has been linked to elevated triglycerides, increased blood pressure, and changes in cholesterol profiles, all of which are risk factors for heart disease. After 50, these risk factors compound more quickly, making preventive measures increasingly important. The good news is that the cardiovascular system remains responsive to positive changes at any age. Reducing sugar intake, even modestly, can lead to improvements in blood pressure and lipid levels within weeks to months. This responsiveness means that it is never too late to make adjustments that support heart health. The key is consistency rather than perfection, allowing for flexibility while maintaining an overall pattern of choices that support vascular wellness. Regular monitoring of blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and other markers provides tangible feedback that can motivate continued attention to diet and lifestyle. Sugar can also influence sleep quality and cognitive clarity. After 50, the brain and body may become more sensitive to energy swings that affect restfulness. Research suggests that consistent sugar patterns can subtly impact attention, memory, and overall mental sharpness. Being aware of evening consumption and noticing personal responses may support a calmer, more restorative sleep routine. Sleep often becomes lighter and more fragmented with age. When sugar is consumed late in the day, it may contribute to restlessness or difficulty settling down. Even when sleep duration appears sufficient, quality may be affected, leading to grogginess or reduced focus the next day. Recognizing these connections empowers individuals to experiment gently with timing and portion size rather than eliminating enjoyment altogether. The relationship between evening habits and morning energy becomes clearer when approached with curiosity rather than rigid rules. The relationship between sugar and sleep is bidirectional and complex. Poor sleep quality can increase cravings for sugary foods the following day, as the tired brain seeks quick energy sources. This creates a cycle where disrupted sleep leads to increased sugar consumption, which then further disrupts sleep. After 50, when sleep architecture naturally becomes lighter and more fragmented, breaking this cycle becomes even more important. The deep, restorative stages of sleep become shorter, making the quality of sleep even more precious. Evening sugar consumption can interfere with the body's natural preparation for sleep, keeping blood sugar and insulin levels elevated when they should be declining. This metabolic activity can prevent the deep relaxation necessary for truly restorative sleep. Additionally, sugar-induced energy fluctuations during the night may contribute to more frequent awakenings or early morning waking. Understanding this cycle allows for strategic adjustments, such as moving sweet treats to earlier in the day when their impact on sleep will be minimal. Cognitive function is another area where sugar's impact becomes more noticeable after 50. The brain relies heavily on glucose for fuel, but it performs best when that fuel arrives in a steady, consistent stream rather than in dramatic spikes and crashes. High sugar intake has been associated with accelerated cognitive decline and increased risk of dementia in some studies, though the mechanisms are still being researched. What is clear is that the brain's ability to regulate glucose becomes less efficient with age, making it more vulnerable to the negative effects of poor blood sugar control. People may notice that memory feels sharper, concentration comes more easily, and mental clarity improves when sugar intake is moderated. These changes may be subtle at first, but can become more apparent over weeks of consistent adjustment. The brain's plasticity continues throughout life, and supporting it with stable energy can enhance quality of life in meaningful ways. Instead of drastic changes, small, consistent choices can create meaningful effects. Replacing some sugary snacks with naturally sweet alternatives, pairing treats with fiber, or spacing indulgences thoughtfully may help maintain balance. These adjustments are about possibility and mindfulness, not restriction. Observing how the body responds over weeks and months can be a valuable guide. For many people, sustainable change comes from flexibility rather than rigid rules. Allowing room for enjoyment while remaining attentive to the body's signals creates a healthier relationship with food. Over time, preferences may shift naturally as the body responds positively to more stable energy, improved comfort, and better sleep. The process of adjustment need not feel like deprivation. Rather, it can feel like discovering what truly serves the body best at this stage of life. Practical strategies for managing sugar intake after 50 do not require perfection or complete elimination of favorite foods. Instead, they focus on awareness and gradual adjustment. Reading nutrition labels becomes a valuable habit, not to obsess over every gram, but to understand where hidden sugars might be accumulating. Choosing whole fruits over fruit juices provides fiber alongside natural sugars, slowing absorption and preventing spikes. Adding protein or healthy fats to meals and snacks helps stabilize blood sugar by slowing digestion. For example, apple slices with almond butter provide a sweet taste with added staying power compared to apple juice alone. Similarly, Greek yogurt with berries offers satisfaction without the added sugars found in flavored varieties. These small substitutions do not feel like deprivation but rather like discovering new favorites that happen to serve the body better. The exploration of alternatives can become enjoyable in itself, opening up new flavors and textures that might have been overlooked when sweetness dominated the palate. Timing also matters. Consuming sweets immediately after a balanced meal, rather than on an empty stomach, reduces the glycemic impact because other nutrients slow sugar absorption. Saving treats for occasional enjoyment rather than daily habits can help recalibrate taste preferences over time. Many people find that as they reduce sugar intake gradually, Foods that once tasted normal begin to taste overly sweet, and naturally less sweet options become more satisfying. This shift happens organically, without force, when the approach is gentle and patient. Hydration plays a role too, as thirst is sometimes mistaken for hunger or sugar cravings. Drinking water throughout the day supports metabolic function and can reduce the impulse to reach for sweet beverages. The simple act of pausing before reaching for something sweet and asking whether thirst might be the actual need can prevent unnecessary sugar consumption while supporting overall hydration. Social and emotional factors also influence sugar consumption patterns. Food carries meaning beyond nutrition, connecting to memories, comfort, celebration, and social belonging. After 50, these connections may become even more significant as food traditions linked to decades of family gatherings and personal history. Honoring these connections while also respecting the body's changing needs requires balance and self-compassion. It means finding ways to participate in celebrations without feeling deprived, while also recognizing that true enjoyment comes from feeling good in the hours and days that follow, not just in the moment of consumption. This balance is personal and evolving, requiring ongoing attention and adjustment rather than a single perfect solution. After 50, being mindful of sugar is not about elimination, but about awareness. Small choices, guided by observation and reflection, can support energy, comfort, and overall well-being. Taking time to notice patterns, understanding how the body responds, and making informed adjustments encourages a gentle, sustainable approach to health. The journey after 50 is enriched by attention, patience, and respect for the body's evolving needs. This stage of life offers an opportunity to redefine habits with wisdom rather than urgency. By listening closely to the body and responding with care, individuals can continue to enjoy sweetness, both in food and in life, while supporting long-term balance and vitality. The accumulated wisdom of decades can be applied to self-care in ways that honor both pleasure and health. The goal is not to create anxiety around food choices but to cultivate a sense of agency and empowerment. When people understand how their bodies respond to different foods, they can make choices that align with how they want to feel, both immediately and in the long term. This knowledge transforms eating from a source of guilt or confusion into an act of self-care and respect. The wisdom gained through decades of living can be applied to nutrition just as it is to relationships, work, and personal growth. Aging does not mean accepting decline as inevitable. It means adapting with intelligence and grace to support the best possible quality of life at every stage. For those interested in continuing this exploration, there are ongoing conversations about mindful aging that might offer further insight. The choices made today shape how the body feels tomorrow, next month, and in the years ahead, making this awareness not just valuable but transformative. Small choices, guided by observation and reflection, can support energy, comfort, and overall well-being. Taking time to notice patterns, understanding how the body responds, and making informed adjustments encourages a gentle, sustainable approach to health. The journey after 50 is enriched by attention, patience, and respect for the body's evolving needs. This stage of life offers an opportunity to redefine habits with wisdom rather than urgency. By listening closely to the body and responding with care, individuals can continue to enjoy sweetness, both in food and in life, while supporting long-term balance and vitality. The accumulated wisdom of decades can be applied to self-care in ways that honor both pleasure and health. The goal is not to create anxiety around food choices but to cultivate a sense of agency and empowerment. When people understand how their bodies respond to different foods, they can make choices that align with how they want to feel, both immediately and in the long term. This knowledge transforms eating from a source of guilt or confusion into an act of self-care and respect. The wisdom gained through decades of living can be applied to nutrition just as it is to relationships, work, and personal growth. Aging does not mean accepting decline as inevitable. It means adapting with intelligence and grace to support the best possible quality of life at every stage. For those interested in continuing this exploration, there are ongoing conversations about mindful aging that might offer further insight. The choices made today shape how the body feels tomorrow, next month, and in the years ahead, making this awareness not just valuable but transformative.